Andrew, welcome.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you, Chanel. It's good to be here. Great to be here.
Great to have you here.
Thank you. We just had a funny conversation before the cameras went live, didn't we?
I think if the cameras were live, we would have been in a lot of trouble, but we were just talking
You would have been in
about...
trouble about
Well,
a black book of...
I think we probably all would have been because we disclosed more than we should.
There's
That's
a lot that happens in this industry that we're privy to, and
Of course, yeah.
we always keep our lips sealed, but then between the three of us, there's a lot we know.
There's a
But
lot we do.
What we do want to get to know,
Of course.
what we do want to know about today, Andrew,
Yes.
is you.
Is you.
And for our viewers who don't know you, we want to start with who are you and
Yep.
what's your story been like from media to where you are today with the O'Brien Group?
Sure. It's it probably goes back quite a long way. I used to be a musician back in the day.
you?
I was
Where'd you
in
play?
bands, and I was touring and doing all that sort of stuff. So I was used to doing kind of that performing side of things. So, I suppose.
Did you sing? Did you?
Yeah, I sung and played guitar and did all this sort of stuff.
Wow.
And did a lot of gigs around the place, probably in the thousands of gigs. So that's kind of where I started. But I ended up in sales. I was selling cars and doing all that stuff early on. I
What
always
drew
had
you to sales from music?
What's that? I did some music sales as well.
I know,
A
but
bit
what
of-
drew you from the being
Oh,
a musician to...
I think I just grew out of it. Like you just get older, and once you get past all the attention of it, there was nothing really there for me. So you either make it or you don't too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then so I was in sales for a while, but a mate of mine who I was working with at Census, he moved to News Corp, and I really wanted to get into leadership and see how I could kind of help people and get involved in that. So I moved to News Corp early on. And I started leading teams. So that trajectory probably started for me probably 2006 maybe.
Wow.
And
Show
I've been
your age. You don't show your age normally. But you look-
I've been leading teams ever since. So I was in media a long time, running pretty large sales channels for Victoria, had national roles at News Corp as well.
Was it challenging going from musician to sales to leadership?
Yeah, look, I found it's always, there's a performance element to it. So it there was a crossover there, and just relationships and getting to know people, and I found it pretty easy actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's quite I think sales is a skill set that if you've got it, you've got it, right?
Yeah, I think
You
so.
can refine it.
Yeah.
And you've either got that skill set from a young age where you can, I guess, convince people, or you can, you know what I mean? You can weigh in on people, and I think that performing element comes to it. If
Oh,
you can
look,
stand
definitely.
in front of a group of people and perform, and you've
Yep.
got that confidence, that would translate into
Yeah,
sales
definitely.
quite
Certainly
well.
with auctions as well. That's probably the biggest thing. I've found that quite easy, but we'll talk about that whenever
Of
we talk about
course.
that. But yeah, so having been in media, I learned a lot of skills working at News Corp. Lots of business restructures and redundancies, and lots of challenging stuff with people as well. So, how to make people feel good when they're probably having one of the worst conversations they've ever had to have about losing their job or whatever it might be. Coaching and mentoring people as well. So, that's kind of followed me through
Did you
to
get any
today.
education or just hit the ground running? Did they...
Kind of hit the ground running, yeah. Just got in the trenches and stayed in them,
What do you think makes a good leader?
I think you've got to meet people where they're at. I think, you've got to be a coach, you've got to be a mentor. And if they're willing, they've got to have the right attitude, of course, if they want to move forward with you. They will usually, expose themselves if they do or they don't.
Yeah.
And you've got to have some structure around what it is you want from them, and what they need to know what the expectation is as well. So, I think you've got to have transparency as well. So, and you've got to be genuinely interested in their success. It's pretty important as well.
I think that's the key word, genuinely interested.
Yeah,
Probably
definitely.
what makes you a good leader, because you are a genuine person.
Yeah, thanks. No, it has to be, I think, and as are you guys. So,
Thank you.
Thank
you. But then I guess how did we go into real estate? Like, where did that transition happen?
So good question. So a lot of my media roles at News Corp were centered around real estate media, so digital and print media. So I've been exposed
Old newspapers.
all the old
articles,
newspapers
yeah.
and all the digital
Listings.
platforms as well. So what happened was I was exposed to every single brand, every single business owner, certainly in Victoria. And then what happens? Well, real estate gets in your blood, doesn't it? So what's this caper all about, So I decided to ditch News Corp at one point. So I'm going to be an agent for a while and see if I like that. Being an agent, I wasn't necessarily leading people anymore, and I really still enjoyed that. So I was a couple of years as an agent. I didn't probably enjoy the lounge room as much as I thought I was going to. So I got out, but then I went back and started to run some real estate offices. So I was running some Noel Jones offices. In fact, you've had a guest on this program, Matt Scafidi. So he's one of the guys that kind of, you have different people in your career that kind of influence you along the way. So he was one of those. There's probably a lot of others which I might mention, but have also been on this show like Stevie Dons and Don Belfiore and guys like that. So so I kind of went back into real estate, but with the leadership lens. So, and that's kind of where I've kind of stayed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then auctions. How did auctions come about with this?
Yeah, well, I had the privilege of working for the White family, and a big shout out to the White family. That they are incredible. I'm sure you guys have had some experiences with them.
No one speaks badly about them.
No. Like you think about Brian White, and I've had a few interactions with him, but he trademarked competition creators, and that is about auctions, and that stuck with me. But beyond that, Dan White as well. Like they're just so consistent in their approach. But I had people like Jeremy Tyrrell and Matt Condon who, kind of, they didn't push me into options, but I just got sucked into this vortex of, I want to do this. So it's having the right people around you that actually created that motivation for me to do it. So it's been really rewarding. I think it's helping people. Like you're only there with someone for an hour, so it's pretty incredible. You can drive up to, I don't know where we're going with this right now, but I can drive up to a house. Maybe I've had a reserve set meeting with the agent. I get there, it's a deceased estate. There's 10 family members there. There's a sister crying on the couch because she still was living with the parent. She doesn't want to sell. The brother and his wife are trying to sort it out. I'm in there. This is the last shot they've got to get as much money as possible. It's tough, but I'm only there half an hour and then I'm gone. So it's a privilege to be inserted into some of those situations, and probably you guys would feel similar experiences in your role, especially yours, Rex, with what you would end up in with some of the challenges.
Yeah, we've got to help people through the most difficult times.
Yeah.
Totally. But what makes a great auctioneer, Andrew? Because there's a lot of auctioneers out there. What makes someone truly exceptional? And what is the art behind it?
I think you've also got to have some personality. You've got to have structure there. But to be honest with you, an auctioneer can only do what the agent's done well for 4 weeks. If it's done well, an auctioneer's just counting the bids. It's easy. There shouldn't be any problem. Mm-hmm. The skill comes into play potentially where there's a price variation, where the vendor's up here, the price range is down here, we're miles away. An auctioneer can come in being impartial to that and possibly influence that vendor where the agent hasn't been able to do that. So that's important, and also after negotiation as well. Again, because I'm not necessarily emotionally attached to that, and that's what a vendor and purchaser wants. They want someone that's completely
Do you have vendor meetings and stuff prior to auction? How do you plan for you mentioned structure. What does that structure look like?
Yeah, you do. So, basically, obviously, you've got to have all the stats for the campaign, what's happened, what's gone on, have there been any offers through the home, all that sort of stuff. Then you're basically just strategizing about how the auction is going to go. Where should you start the auction? Are there any bidders there lined up for it? Are there other price levels beyond the reserve that the vendor would actually look at? So whilst we don't necessarily disclose those, we've got to know where they might actually consider. Because obviously we can pause an auction. If we've got some idea of where else they might want to be, we've got a chance of being successful. So, yeah.
And when you talk about the meetings and the agent being ready, do you coach your agents? How do you know if agents done the campaign properly or not?
Yeah, look, a lot of the time they're really good. I work for the agent. It's the agent's show. It's not. I think for me, it's not the auctioneer show. It's the agent's show. So we're there to enhance all that great work they've done over the 4 weeks. That's what we're there for. Sometimes where it can get unstuck is if an agent's promised a price instead of actually just looking at data. This is what the data's telling us. Promising a price is dangerous because then you get to the end of the campaign and that expectation hasn't been met and that vendor's not happy. You've said this, you promised me that. Instead of just, I'd love to see more agents using data to back up what they say rather than promising a price. This is what the data's saying.
But do you think
consumer affairs?
Do you think that with the new laws that you have to obviously now we have
disclose
to
a reserve.
Disclose reserve. Do you think that's going to impact the auction market?
I'm not sure that's going to even go through yet.
Okay, it hasn't gone through.
Yeah, from what my understanding is, and Rex, you're in this as well, that there's a conversation that's going to happen in May.
Yep.
I know one of our corporate directors, Stavros Ambazides, he's kind of involved in the REIV, so he's on that side of it
The
as well.
RIV has done a position paper that strongly advises the government against that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All these other recommendations.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, as a property, if I'm a property owner, I still have the right to kind of literally do whatever I want. Well, how am I breaking
You
the
can change
law?
your mind on the 11th hour. It doesn't
Yeah,
make a difference.
you can work out. We could have a price range and had a reserve conversation on a Friday night and get to auction on the Saturday 5 minutes before, and the vendors, husband and wife, whatever, will say, look, we've had a change of plan. We want our reserve $150,000 higher than what we said last night. Sorry. And that's what you're walking out with.
And they may not sell it, but it's
may
their
not sell it.
asset, their choice.
That's right,
I think.
yeah.
But governments say, no, you can't do that.
And sometimes at that point, all you can do is run the process in hope that they learn something from that. And if it passes in, it passes in. So, there's only really 3 ways an auction can go. One, it passes in no bids. Second one, you're only working with one bidder, which is quite common at the moment because there's a bit of caution in the market. Or the third one is you're working with 2 or more bidders. That's the only way it goes every time.
2 or more makes it more fun.
Does, yeah.
The theatrics and the musicians, and does that come into play now?
Oh, it's just for me,
Auctions?
yeah. I think for me, it's just I'm just comfortable in the space. Whereas probably initially I thought I could never do it, but it's not that I'm doing anything probably from old band days or anything, but I'm just comfortable in the space. Yeah.
It's not until you're bidding at an auction, as I've been had the pleasure
It's
of
terrifying, right?
I don't know if I was driving the price up. My husband's like, we've gone over
Yeah.
our price. And I was like, I need to win.
I need to win, yeah.
I think people don't truly understand
costly.
what an auction can do until you're someone that's bidded, because
right.
the adrenaline of it and the excitement of it and the need to win
Yeah.
is so extreme that someone like me, who is quite a contained person,
Yeah.
sometimes could not control themselves.
Yeah.
It was like, I need to have this. And then in hindsight afterwards, I was like, that was really intense. And
Yeah.
I really went way over what we had been financially approved for.
Oh, God.
But that's okay. I didn't secure
Yeah.
the property. But it's just what it does for a property and how it drives up the price with the right auctioneer that
Yeah.
creates enough excitement and enough momentum. And also that pre-auction campaign to obviously getting you excited for this auction and prepping you on how to bid.
Yeah.
Done correctly, the impact can be
Oh, definitely.
so profound.
Definitely, and that's probably what you want, an auction. It is theatre, but it also, for the agency and the agent, if they're running a good campaign, there are other people there, they go neighbours, all that sort of thing, can you list ours? We want you to do ours because this was fantastic.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be.
Free advertising.
It is. So, and the other thing, we've got some amazing successful agents, Brian, that don't do auction, they just do private sale, and it still works. But with auction, I guess it is a very transparent process. If I'm a buyer, I can see what everyone else is bidding. You go private, can't see anything. You don't know what is going on in the background.
Very true.
Yeah.
If those agents that have not gone to auctions, do you feel like they're not doing themselves a justice? Like having an auction campaign gives you that extra limelight,
Yeah, it does.
gets more bidders potentially bidding higher because they get this atmosphere that you don't get. You're like, Chanel was talking about being at the auction, getting excited
right.
and putting a hand up when she
Yeah, look, it definitely leads to more listings. And one of the things, the different markets anywhere in Australia, some agents hang their hats on, we sold it in 3 days, not 4
Did you get the
weeks.
best price?
That's the only thing. So, some agents or even buyers, they don't necessarily want to hold for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. But every auction campaign is can still sell privately. You can still sell prior. You can still. So sometimes setting a date in the future, that's the end date, does create urgency anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't know why more people don't list auction, because you can still sell at any point. It's still a private sale. Anytime you want, you get the acceptable offer, sell it anytime you like.
There's just no way I would sell in any other form other than auction.
Yeah.
Like as a homeowner, there's no way.
No.
I'd want to create that excitement.
No.
You know what I'd have? I'd have like a margarita van, so I'd get everyone a little bit tipsy first, get some R&B
I like
playing,
it. That's good.
you
That's better than the coffee van.
Yeah, my auctioneer will be on a stage. I'm going to make a whole performance out of it. And I think a little bit of extra alcohol just takes the edge off the price.
I love
so
that.
We'll just drive it up
Why hasn't
like that.
anyone done that yet?
Yep, Chanel's campaign auction, if anyone wants to, employ my
That's
services.
a great idea.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I might call you about that. Yeah.
Done.
Can we transition to growth?
Yep.
And your current role, one of your roles, one's an auctioneer, but
So my role is strategic growth advisor for O'Brien, working closely with the founders, Dean, Darren, and Stav, and then obviously Jason Mumford as well. Growth is a really interesting space, as you probably know, because you're in that
competitive though,
space all the
isn't
time. It's super competitive. There's so many offerings out there, and You know, a lot of the younger agents are looking either for the next best thing or the shiny thing or the 90%, you know, the split, you know, all that sort of stuff. So it is tough and it's slow. Like we grow very quickly from 0 to over 30 offices, you know, in a very short period of time. We've got a few offices that we're bringing on at the moment, but it does take time. And the other part of growth is retention has become a big part of that. Like, who have we got in a network? Who needs love? Who do we need to help to stay in a network? And who can we bring into those businesses to actually grow their GCI rather than, you know, it's not always about just putting more flags out there. So we're focused on, you know, retention, growing existing as much as we are looking at new people.
Are you focused more on quality over quantity? What is the growth strategy
Yeah,
with that?
I think it's always quantity in the early stages.
Yeah, of course.
And I think when O'Brien started, you know, they started from 2 or 3 offices. It was definitely quantity, but it is quality at the moment for sure. Yeah, because you want businesses to thrive. You want to know what you're setting up has actually got some momentum behind it.
Yep.
You know, I think because otherwise real estate, it is costly to open a real estate business.
Oh yeah.
With all the different fees, you know, whether it be REA and all the other different things, domain, like these are all subscription-based things that business owners need to be on. You can end up, you know, before rent being at $8,000 to $10,000 just in operational subscriptions.
It's not
my
necessarily recurring revenue either. I mean,
No.
you've got a property management army could be, but sales
right.
is seasonal.
Yeah, that's it. And look, you know, property management is important to that because at least you've covered your operating costs. But some people don't have a lot of rent rolls, you know, and they're not cheap to ascertain. And you work a lot in that space as well.
I do, and I think it's what I see is that the good agencies have this model where they've got the right BDMs growing it, but they've also acquire.
Yep.
Acquisitions, I think, is really smart. I mean, not to speak about another brand, but Charlotte's Craig has done a phenomenal job in Victoria, just growing their existing offices by acquisitions.
Yeah. Acquisitions of rent rolls. I think it's important, and you get a lot of leverage out of a rent roll.
You do.
Especially
I
with,
think it's also like, yeah, the acquisitions are great, but I'm seeing a lot of clients at the moment that are really truly investing and paying top dollar and top commissions for strong BDMs.
Yep.
And really sort of giving them more than what the business could potentially profit in the first 8 months, but they're looking at the BDM as a 2 or 3 year investment now, as opposed to going, okay, let's give them 60K and a, you know, X amount, $500 per property they bring on.
Yep.
They're flipping it on its head now, and I'm seeing some of the biggest BDM salaries I've seen since I started my business, because that investment in people for growth is far less expensive than a $500,000 acquisition that there's potentially drop off of.
Yeah.
There's no better growth than organic growth, but also an acquisition can then help build a rent roll as well. But the salaries that I'm seeing at the moment are unheard of for BDMs, and I think it's really intelligent for business owners to truly invest in strong BDMs at the moment.
Oh, definitely. No, I agree. I think whatever means you can to get the right people in the right spots, you know, whether it's sign-on bonuses or what you just said, you know, people want higher salaries. People want to be bonused for what they do, incentivized.
And equity, Andrew, like we're seeing more. Rewind 5 years ago, I didn't know a single BDM that had any equity in any real estate office. It was just salespeople. Fast forward to today, I'm seeing clients offer equity into the rental division based on growth of properties. And that's where I'm seeing some of my clients secure the best talent based on equity offering from the rental side and not just, you know, showering the high performing salespeople in love and equity buy-ins.
Yeah,
so it's
I think
different.
it makes sense. It does. Like, you know, what's in it for me, you know? Otherwise, it's just a job.
Yeah.
You know, I think you've got to look beyond that.
Jump somewhere else in 12 months and take existing clients over, and you know, it's just a constant sort of cycle of hiring and firing or recruiting, and you know, the retention piece, which I think you touched on. That your role's obviously not just recruiting officers but retaining them. What's the strategy behind that?
Well, you've got to spend a lot of time with those business owners and work out what they're challenged with. And there's coaching and mentoring, you know, but a lot of the time it works, it doesn't work, you know, agents move on, or, you know, or are able to save some of their agents, but it's really sitting down with the business owner, working out what they're challenged with. And then if they've got certain people in there that need some attention, then we would kind of insert ourselves in there and start working with them and build out their coaching program for them, which would involve also setting up goals and all those sorts of things.
What do you think the biggest challenges are at the moment for business owners? I mean, I know from my clientele, but I'd love to know, like, what do you find that they're finding is it recruitment? Is it
it's definitely
behaviour of staff? Like, what is it?
I think it's definitely recruitment, like bringing in new people. I don't think business owners understand that they need to be spending probably a minimum of 20% of their week on recruitment. and they don't do it.
Or spend 20% of their profits on a recruiter.
Yeah.
It's one or the
That's
other,
where you're
right?
the good advertising.
I prefer the latter.
Yeah,
but,
the latter,
you know,
yeah.
guys are
Well,
from-
either
from
way,
business
like I think you need both. I mean, you know, build your talent bench, whatever that might be, you know, or work with a recruiter, you know, whatever it is. You've got to have a strategy. That should form part of your week.
But that's working on the business, not in the business. And I think that's where a lot of agents sometimes, they get the great salespeople and they continue being salespeople, but they just stop being the head listing person in that business. Give it to other people and spend time recruiting.
Yeah, exactly right. I think that's a good point too. Like, you know, if you're a business owner, a lot of business owners are still selling and listing. So that's like, this is mine. That's not a good leadership model. It's not sustainable. You can do it for a while. If you're in that, Brian White calls it the go-go of real estate. If you're in that phase where you're just trying to run and bring money in, I get it. You know, you've got to, everyone, all hands on deck, got to bring the money in. But I don't think it's a good long-term strategy. You know, I think if you've got a lot of leads coming into you, you know, you've got to get them out to your people.
Feed the team, and then that's how you create a long-standing team.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, the recruitment piece, Andrew, like with franchises, it's more, I do a lot of franchise development myself.
Yes.
But it's more fierce than ever, not only with the competition, but also independent brands opening up, with a lot of agents going, well, hey, like, why would I pay a franchise group when I can create my own independent brand?
Yeah.
What do you think the benefits of a franchise group are, particularly O'Brien, because that's what we're here to talk
Yeah, of
about,
course.
as opposed to potentially going independent? Like, what are
I mean, independent, you know, that saying it's lonely in business, it doesn't get any lonelier in business than it does going into some of these smaller, you know, I'm a solo mobile agent. It doesn't get any lonelier than that.
Yeah.
You know, so we obviously pride ourselves on, you know, the networking and the training and all those things that you should expect from a franchisor. I think that's really important. So a lot of engagement, whether it be, you know, we've got our leadership conference this year, we're going to Bali for that. You know, we just had Ignite last week. I think we've got you coming into our directors meeting soon as well. So have a chat about all the legal challenges that go on. But, you know, we've got to offer as much value as possible. And it is lonely in business, and some of these smaller business models, but sure, okay, you're going to get your 80% or your 90%, but there's a volume you get out of a brand that you don't get when you're just a one-man show. So there's that as well.
It's a recruitment piece as well. I mean, I'm not an agent, but you probably know better than both of you. If I'm a new agent or an existing agent looking to move, would I want to join a brand or go independent?
It's the $1 million question, isn't it?
It is. If I'm a $1 million writer, I've got a really good database, it can potentially work for you. But, you know, look, there's been a couple of exits recently, Jellis Craig, so, you know, we will see how that kind of plays out in some of in the Boroondara market. But I think you're right, it's a $1 million question, but if you're writing $1.5 or $2 million, you've probably got a better chance at someone that's writing 300 for a franchise brand. You know, I think you're going to struggle.
Depends on so many factors as well. Like if we look at certain brands, they're so heavily, there's an office in every suburb.
Yeah.
So if you're a high performer and you want to go with a franchise group, you've got to look at, I guess, the local competition in the area. And if you were wanting to expand, if you're saying, let's use where we are right now, Yarraville, for example, but you want to expand into Seddon, but there's already that particular brand in Seddon, then do you open in Yarraville or do you go independent? What is the local, suburb? Do they pride themselves on, you know, luxury brands, Kay and Burton, like they infiltrate that Toorak, that high-end market, but another brand wouldn't do well there. So it depends on so many factors.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like Jellis Craig, Kay and Burton, they're attraction brands. If I'm living in Toorak, I want my property to be aligned with an attraction brand and a really good agent, but it all matters. You know, I think there's a bit of ego in there as well. I'm not going to list my property with, you know, another independent brand that's got no real traction there. So I think that's important as well.
Kay and Burton is like wearing a Hermes handbag, you know?
It is. That's how they're...
That's what they are. I love Kay and Burton. I've got a great relationship with them, and they're absolutely phenomenal in that luxury market.
Yeah, that's how they position themselves, and I think they're still boutique enough, but they are very good.
Exactly right. Where do you think O'Brien position themselves? Like, who is
our swim lane, and we make no bones about this, is suburban real estate.
Yeah.
That's where we are. That's where we stay. We're not trying to get into markets that we don't belong in, and that's where we play very well in that space, you know, and that's where we want to keep growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is your recruitment strategy behind it, Andrew? Or do you sort of have sort of like particular agents that you really want to target, or particular areas? Is it sort of like geographical? Like, okay, we really need to go inner west.
Yeah.
And then what is the sort of the spiel you use to pitch O'Brien? And if someone is watching this, it's potentially considering going with the O'Brien network, how would you, I guess, pitch it to a high performer or an O'Brien agent?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is all a process. So if it's an agent, I mean, these things are quite simple. These things start with a coffee, really. I mean, you're actually getting to know someone, as you would know.
Yeah.
It always starts there, and then it's going to develop from there. We would then move that person coming into corporate. They can meet the founders. Then we take them through, what's called a roadshow, I suppose. Which I learned a lot of that from Ray White as well.
Yeah, so it sounds very similar to the Ray White recruitment strategy.
Yeah. So I mean, I did a fair bit of time on that, but it does work. And then you're going to take them through what you do, everything you offer, your training, your tech, all that sort of stuff. So that's the first part of it. And then along that journey, you're finding out what do they want? What do they want to get out of it? Are they even suitable to go into business ownership yet? Is their database strong enough to go out on their own? So there's a lot of factors. And also, you need money in the bank to open up an office as well. So there's a lot to play out with that as well. So but there is a strategy, and it's pretty detailed. It doesn't happen overnight. These things can take, 1 year, 2 years, or they can happen quickly, as you know.
I've seen things unfold after 3 or 4 years. The
That's
relationships.
Right.
I think people forget in this industry, the industry is so small and it's so tight knit.
Yeah.
And the relationships that you have now are so, like, not beneficial is not the right word, but you see it come in waves 5 years later. And I think all three of us are sort of veterans in this real estate industry. And, someone that I met 5 years ago, that I was kind to, or someone that I recruited 5 years ago as a sales associate, and now a director, and I'm recruiting for their office.
Yeah.
And I think the reputation, if you're a good person and do the right thing, you watch it come back in waves. It's so many people burn bridges in this industry. And I'm like, I see it happen all the time. I'm like, that it's a long game in a tight-knit industry, right? Like it's
so true.
Who you are matters.
Yeah, I mean, I've got relationships with agents and business owners when I was at News Corp that I'm still finding out about now, that I've known 20 years, that I'm still involved with now. Jason and we'll just go out on the road and just knock doors too. Like, you just got to get out there.
Yeah.
Do it old school way, but we've still got a lot of relationships from those days that we still tap into.
With the future of real estate, Andrew, so much tech, so much is evolving. Where do you see the future of O'Brien going? And I guess, what is the next 5-year plan? So we had Dean on, who obviously said he was on a 10-year sprint. Was it 10-year sprint?
10-year sprint, yeah.
What does that consist of, and where is the future of O'Brien going, particularly with tech, software, and
I think
innovation?
Tech in general, it's still troubled to some degree, because if you go into an office, they're like, oh, we need this, and they're just stacking all this stuff up like this. I don't think it's gotten to where it needs to get to yet. I think it's still playing out. But yeah, look, we're always trialing different technology. I think it's about test and learn. I think AI is going to come into it. Obviously, it's come into it. But I think you still have to be very careful in that space. People are getting caught out all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Not editing things, not reading through things. Clients deserve better service than that. But I think in terms of tech, I think we're still in very much a test and learn phase as to what. There's no utopia. It's messy. Yeah. It's chaotic trying to test all this out. And obviously REA is pushing with what they're doing now with GPT integration, and Domain are doing the same thing. With some of their new developments as well. So I think, again, I honestly think it's still test and learn. Like, we try things that didn't work.
Yeah.
We move on to the next thing. I just find we're putting band-aids everywhere, and it's just still a bit all over the place.
Yeah. No one's nailed it just yet.
No, I don't think so.
There's so many products to choose from.
There's so much.
Oh yeah.
Estate agents. Yeah.
Once prop tech gets into you, their claws into you, it just doesn't stop. It's just like you could do non-stop prop tech meetings if you want.
It becomes exhausting though, like trying to, and then you sort of lose that human element of it.
That's
in the
the
end,
thing. Yeah.
It's humans. Like, we're connecting with humans. There's only so much tech you can use, but what makes a successful agent or business owner is the ability to be able to relate to a human being.
Yep.
That's what
That's
it
the whole
comes
thing.
down
And
to.
you know what? Old school real estate still works. If you're saturating your
one.
market with drops, if you're doing door knocks, if you're doing the basics, if you're making the phone calls, you're talking to people, that still works. With no tech, still works.
I think my view on tech is you need to enhance it. It's not going away, but enhance it to make your job easier so you get more human contact.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you can automate emails or whatever the case may be, so you can call people more.
Correct,
Or you
yeah.
get virtual VAs or people overseas. What do you call it? Remote professionals.
Yeah, remote professional.
Remote professional. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
that's the words we're
That's
supposed
the
to use
buzzword now,
VA,
okay.
Dehumanizes them is what I've heard. So we're
Yes.
remote professionals.
Yeah,
now.
we use quite a few remote professionals.
Yes.
So no, they're good. They're great.
They're really good.
They do help.
But I think we should use them to enhance, not to do less, but to do more client contact.
Correct.
Yeah.
More drops,
Yeah.
more calls, more door knocks.
Yeah.
Because end of the day, that's what that goes to appraisals goes to listings go to sales.
Yeah, without appraisals, that appraisals are everything. Like that's your future business right there.
Yeah.
If you're not doing them because you're busy running your campaigns, then you're going to fall back into the valley again. You know. So,
Yeah.
And people go through that trend. I think good agents are very consistent and very disciplined and do the calls and stuff to get their appraisals. Other agents get a lot of appraisals, a lot of listings, get busy, don't do the work for tomorrow, and
That's
then
right.
go to a slump, build it up again, go for a slump, build it up again.
Yeah, no, definitely. And look, we obviously plug into Josh Fegan. He's been working with us for 15 years.
He's great.
And
He's great, isn't
yeah, and we use Tom Panos as well. So Tom's been a mentor of mine for a long time, as has Josh. But you know, Josh has been a part of the business with Dean for 15 years. So he's, you know, we invest considerably in training for the network. So yeah, I think you've got to be consistent with some of those things if you're a franchisor. That's really important. Investing back into people as well.
That's exactly what it is. Investing back into the people.
Exactly.
Well, with that, Andrew, thank you so much for investing your time with us
No,
today.
thank you.
Investing
It's
with
been a
us.
pleasure.
A bit of a tumultuous morning, but otherwise we're
My fault.
Did you want to talk about that now? Or?